Which one of history's good guys was actually a horrible person? Not necessarily a good guy, but got lots of positive attention from the release of The Greatest Showman. Apparently P.T. Barnum was a terrible person in real life. The Greatest Showman is the film P.T. Barnum would release about himself. I remember someone on Fixing Movies said the perfect way to end the film would have been to have P.T. Barnum look directly at the camera, say "and that's how it really happened," wink, and then cut to credits. If I had any money whatsoever, I would fund it toward making that ending and re-releasing all of the streams and DVDs with it. Henry Ford was so anti-Semitic that Hitler considered him a hero. Brave New World makes a whole lot more sense now. How? I haven't read the book. Basically, bunch of genetically identical people idolize assembly lines and worship Henry Ford as their god. Yes, it's as weird as it sounds. At the time they seemed so out there, but I'm very glad Brave New World, The Giver, 1984 and Catch-22 were all part of my primary secondary school curriculum. Definitely complex concepts that didn't sink in initially, but very important themes to teach children. Most of those authors have lived incredible lives too. Reading about their experiences helped me understand the context better, weirdly enough. Orwell's Homage to Catalonia is a very insightful account of his time in the Spanish Civil War. America's Dad, Bill Cosby. Alfred Hitchcock was an asshole sexual predator. Tippi Hedren wrote about it in her memoir. She did say he was a brilliant film marker, so you can be both. Luckily, no other famous directors were sexual predators. I've been roaming around this thread looking for this reference. Would he been better if you had stayed put? No need to wean about it, geez. It's just a matter of Klaus and effect. BILLCOSBY. A shorter list would be which of history's good guys were truly good guys and not later found out to be complete $8 holes. Edit, thank you for the award, stranger. I don't really know what else to say. So, thank you. Curly from the Three Stooges. Typically having several dogs at any given time, Curly was known to come home often with strays he found along his travels. He would foster the strays until he was able to find new homes. And when the Stooges were on tour, Curly made it a point to rehome, at least, one stray in each town they visited. It is estimated that Curly saved and rehomed more than 5,000 dogs in his lifetime, making him a man before his time with his humane concern for man's best friend. In this thread, a lot of people who were never considered good guys. Unpopular opinion, dog lover in or Adolf Hitler did some pretty questionable stuff in the 30s. Really changed his ways in the 40s though. Even killed a genocidal dictator. Yeah. But he also killed the guy that killed Hitler. Yeah, kinda questionable. Depends on what you mean. Judging by today's standards, I'd say most historical good guys were horrible people. Judging by the standards of their era, things become more complicated. Yeah, even abolitionists back in the day may have been against slavery, but that didn't mean they thought blacks should be treated equally. Shout out to John Brown. John Brown was one hardcore motherducker Lamau. I love this mural of John Brown in the Kansas state capitol. In one hand he's holding a Bible and in the other a John Brown Bible, aka a gun. Steve Jobs was a bit of an ass. A bit? You should read Small Fry. Steve Jobs was a tremendous asshole. He should also read the Walter Isaacson biography. He was a massive, tremendous asshole. Literally abandoned his daughter because he didn't want to be a dad. Screaming at people over the shade of yellow on the Google screen on iPhone. Thought he could cure his cancer with diet. He was given a night shift at Atari because he smelled so bad because he thought by eating clean he wouldn't produce any stink. While he almost certainly wasn't the first to say it, Lord Acton once observed that great men are almost always bad men. Pluck any great man from history, those rare figures about whom the story of the human race seems to turn, and you find a monster who changed the world, probably without even intending to do so. It's my estimation that every man ever got a statue made of him was one kind of a son of a bitch or another. Malcolm Reynolds. Ned Kelly is neat, because he seems to have recognized his anti-hero status. His actions were never morally right, but it's hard to say we haven't ever wanted to do the same. I feel like a lot of Ned Kelly's actions were justified if you take his accounts as opposed to the policemen he dealt with. The truth is likely somewhere in between. There's no excuse for his early theft, but those wouldn't make him a horrible person by today's standards. He was a criminal turned outlaw turned national hero revolutionary. Sure, he stole and murdered, but he was a product of his upbringing and the state of Australia at the time. People in history are weird. Take Jesse James. He was revered while he was alive. People loved him then and took pictures with his corpse when he died. People still find him fascinating, and yet he wasn't a good guy by any stretch of the imagination. This is a little more niche, but Bill Wilson, the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. The guy did great things, and created a program of recovery that has saved millions of lives since its inception 85 years ago. He was also an arrogant asshole that cheated on his wife even in sobriety. Edit: this isn't here to scare away anyone that's trying to get sober. I've been sober thanks to AA for 5-12 years. So don't let this keep you away if you're struggling with your drinking. Nothing is black and white, it seems. Zebras would like a word. They aren't either. You ever cut one open? Nothing is black and white, it seems. Nothing would like a word. Tinkerbell. Everybody thinks she was so cute and such a good friend to Peter, but she was a jealous psychopath and tried to murder Wendy several times. I mean, in the book she only did it once. Because that makes attempted murder better. They don't hold themselves to human moral standards. Joseph P. Kennedy, dad of John, Bobby, and Teddy, had one of his daughters lobotomized. She was likely autistic but was considered an embarrassment to the family. Rosemary Kennedy was never considered autistic. When her mother, Rose Kennedy, was giving birth to Rosemary, the doctor wasn't available, and Rose was told to keep her legs closed until the doctor arrived. Baby Rosemary was in the birth canal for about 2 hours, being deprived of oxygen the whole time, which resulted in severe learning disabilities. What, and I cannot stress this enough, the duck. Teresa, great episode of last podcast on the left about the lobotomy of Rosemary Kennedy if you're interested in learning more. It's very sad, WTF, and infuriating all at once. There's a statue of Oliver Cromwell in London. Loads of movies about him and how he was a brave revolutionary. Duck that. He was an evil sociopath who committed genocide on Irish Catholics and turned the UK into a Puritan dictatorship. Alexander Graham Bell. This man did not invent the telephone. Several people were working on similar technology at the same time. Antonio Meucci invented it first, but there was a court case over who got the patent rights. Meucci died before the case was settled, and Graham Bell won the glory he didn't deserve. Tony Soprano knew this and went apeshit over it at the dinner table. Antonio Meucci invented the telephone and he got robbed. You know, Quasimodo predicted all this. Jebediah Springfield, or his real less commonly known name, Hans Sprungfeld, the murderous pirate. Sir John A Macdonald. First Prime Minister of Canada. Did a lot for the country in its infancy but treated Indigenous people like garbage. Notorious drunkard too. Once, when debating his opponent, he vomited on stage and quipped, "I get sick, not because of drink but because I am forced to listen to the ranting of my honorable opponent." Notorious drunkard too. I worked for years in the home of a vice president of an international monopoly. I was treated very well. But every evening after 5 it was lights out with the drinking. Holy crap, those folks could drink. Bob Marley. And there's a very good story to back this up that also explains how he grew to be #1 reggae singer of Jamaica. He had a posse of friends that would intimidate radio networks of Jamaica into playing his music, as well as destroying the alpha discs of other newer artists. WTF they're called, but the copy the radio networks were given in order to play on the air. He might have been trying to promote feel-good music and peace and all that, but he was a thug when it came to getting that music out. And at the same time gave a dude songwriting credit so that he'd get royalties from the music and be able to keep his soup kitchen open. People are so weird. Bully one guy, help another, rape his wife, help a guy keep his soup kitchen open. Duck. Goes to show how complicated people are. Idolize ideals, not people. This is how cults of personality get so gnarly. People refuse to acknowledge traits actions inconsistent with their image of the person. Eventually they just cling on to a fictional image so they don't have to reevaluate their beliefs.